हेलो फ्रेंड्स, वेलकम बैक टू माय चैनल। आज की इस वीडियो में हम डिस्कस करेंगे टीचर सेंटर्ड अप्रोच, जो कि बेस्ड रहेगी डीएलएड स्टडी मटेरियल से। ठीक है, तो वीडियो को स्टार्ट करते हैं। From our experience as students and otherwise, most of us believe that the teacher is the dominant factor in all classroom activities. Everything that is done in the class, beginning from the sitting arrangements, fixing what and when to teach, maintaining discipline, asking questions, and the time and type of student evaluation is to be determined by the teacher. The major belief on which this approach rests is that the teacher knows all that a learner is required to know. Therefore, the teacher can transmit bits of knowledge and skills to the children. A so called good student stores most of these bits of knowledge in his or her memory and reproduces whenever it is demanded. On the other hand, a poor student lacks the capability and in storing and reproducing. In other words, the process of memorizing and recalling from memory are the two key processes of this approach. Paulo Freire, the great educational thinker, designated this process as banking education. Characteristics of teacher-centered approach. Some of the important characteristics of the teacher-centered approach of teaching learning are: knowledge is transmitted from the teacher to the students. The focus is on teaching, instructing, or directing rather than on learning. The content and methods of teaching are decided by the teacher, targeting the average students. The needs and interests of the individual students are rarely taken into account while teaching. Emphasis is given on passive listening, reading and writing, and reproducing things taught by or as directed by the teacher. Students' participation in classroom activities is dictated by the teacher. In most of the cases, the teacher gives little scope for debate and discussion and sharing of ideas. Teacher is mostly concerned with completion of the course contents. The teacher concentrates on the right answer. The classroom management is entirely dependent on teachers, on his or her experience, capability, and sometimes on his or her whims and caprices. The principles of classroom discipline and in their reinforcement in the class are entirely controlled by the teacher. The hallmark of classroom or school discipline is students' absolute obedience to teachers. Extrinsic modes of motivation like praise and rebuke, reward and punishment are generally used by the teachers. Usefulness of teacher centered approach. This approach is entirely dependent on the teacher. If a teacher has a positive mind, he can keep up the spirit of learning new things and help his or her students with a vast range of experiences. Transferring knowledge, information, and skills from the matured and experienced person to the younger generation is very often argued to be beneficial for students, as many successful students who have come out of traditional settings have also proved their talents. There are quite large number of new, unfamiliar, or abstract concepts for the learner which cannot be learned easily when left to the students themselves. Direct explanation of these concepts by the teacher is a better way to facilitate understanding of the students. There are materials, instruments, and situations which might be harmful or dangerous for the young students to handle. In such cases, it is always advisable that the teacher demonstrate the experiments or activities using such materials or instruments. In a large size classroom where there is a large number of students, teaching in mass becomes the only feasible method. Limitation of teacher-centered approach. This approach has large number of limitations. Some of them are: since the teaching is very often imposing facts and ideas by the teacher, children do not like and tend to lose interest. If the knowledge of the teacher is limited, then he or she cannot meet the needs of individual children. There is no scope for debate and discussion among the students. Individual attention is hardly taken into account in large size classes and in multi-grade situations. The teacher never never gives room for developing the thinking skill of the students. Thus, it retards the creativity of the children. Evaluation is mostly summative in nature. There is no scope for continuous and comprehensive evaluation, which is the goal of the present times. The teacher is confined to completion of the course. It matters little if the children do not understand the concepts. आज का टॉपिक, आई होप आपको वीडियो पसंद आई होगी। प्लीज़ इसे लाइक एंड शेयर ज़रूर कीजिए, चैनल को सब्सक्राइब कर लीजिए और बेल आइकन को प्रेस कर दीजिए ताकि आगे आने वाले वीडियोस का नोटिफिकेशन आपको टाइमली मिल सके। थैंक्स फॉर वॉचिंग।